Welcome to Get Your Mind Right, the podcast where merchant services, digital marketing, and personal growth collide. Tune in for real talk, fresh insights, and the motivation to level up.
Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Get Your Mind Right. I have a very special guest here, Lori Carney with Worldpay. Lori, I have been waiting to get you in this hot seat for a long time.
Have you?
I have. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. I really appreciate the offer and feel like it's a privilege to be here to chat with you.
Well,
always good to see you, too.
Always good to see you as well. So I know I and my listeners want to know what the heck is going on in Worldpay.
Right.
What's going on right now, and what's the future look like?
Sure. It's a great question, and I want to know what the heck's going on, too. But I will start off by saying that
this is going to be the quickest podcast ever.
It is, right? I don't have anything to share. No, the most interesting thing is being referred to as a merger versus an acquisition now. So that's huge in my mind. And what I'm being told from Philip and Denise is the conversations that are taking place really focus around what does Global have to offer, what do we have to offer, and how can we make it the best of best for our partners. So there will be some changes, certainly. Genius, we were about to release it last year when I was here. I talked about Commerce 360, and we're developing that. We're not doing that any longer. We're going to be relying on their Genius product to be our point of sale solution. That's something like that. I've also been told that our boarding tool may be more superior, if I can use that word, to what they have today. I mean, some of our partners have been very open and honest about it, including yourselves.
Yeah,
about the boarding tool.
I was going to chime in on that. Our ops team will tell you yours is far superior.
Yeah. So there are things that we will keep and things that we will add on. As far as partner management, there are no changes at this point. We don't really know how it's going to end up, but we know, such as yourselves, you have a good relationship with Global, you have a great relationship with Worldpay. So how do we merge that relationship to help you continue to grow your business? Those kinds of things are yet to be determined.
Laura, your one or both of your parents probably told you at several points in your life, you don't ever want to burn bridges. But boy, if you're in merchant services, you really do not want to burn bridges.
No kidding. That's absolutely true. And I've witnessed some people doing that. I spent 27 years with First Data. And there are people that come and go from First Data.
That rings a
bell.
bell.
Fiserv. Yeah, I spent a lot of time there. And I see colleagues in the industry who, honestly, they probably would be honest to tell you they did burn some bridges. So you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's the business is too close net, almost insidious. Partners.
Yes.
And players in the industry. You always run into someone that you had worked with in the past, so you can't burn bridges. But to finish the question, we're all looking forward to what this is going to look like. We were told last week that it's probably going to be an announcement pretty soon. Maybe even in January. We don't know for sure, but there's an awful lot of work taking place to do gap analysis and the analysis of tools, as I just said. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun year. And I think one of the questions you're going to ask me is what was my focus going to be for 26?
It was on the list.
Right,
yes.
It was on the list. What does success look like to me in 26? It's all about how we merge the two companies and how we continue to take care of our partners. We should be able to give you more and should be able to help you grow even more than you have now with the combination of the two businesses. So success looks like, a good, smooth merger.
Right. And take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
I think, and I'd have to bring Meg in here, but I think from our seats that we haven't really noticed a lot of change. I mean, you guys, you've always been responsive to us, but as far as there being balls dropped or anything like that, we really haven't seen that.
No, it's been BAU, and that was the message earlier last year. It's BAU until we're told different. And so you're a very important partner to Worldpay and equally with Global. So we're not dropping balls. In fact, we brought on more resources to help us grow the business. You probably remember a couple years ago where we unfortunately, under the table, announced we weren't going to support the ISO channel going forward, right?
I do remember that.
I remember that. It was 6 months after I joined Worldpay. It's like, wow, that would have been great information before I joined the company. But as you can tell, that strategy completely changed, and we started to grow the ISO business again. We're bringing on lots of new partners, and we're taking care of our existing partners as best we can with the tools that we have. You'll see some changes with that.
So I'm not going to name this person, but you will remember when Global bought Thesis, and of course we have a I don't know, 14-year relationship with thesis, right? So what happened is they had planned an event for, they invited like their top 25 ISOs to Atlanta, and it was this unbelievable event they put out. So in the meantime, Global had bought them, so their new person in charge, you know who I'm talking about here, he went out, so you got their top ISO production, right? And he had an introduction, everybody clapped, he went up there and he said, I've taken a hard look at this and I just don't know how we can make money in the ISO channel.
Oh, Lord. Say that out loud.
And look, Lori, it's like, everybody's like, did I hear that right?
Yeah. Did I hear that? Not a smart thing to do, not a smart thing to say. And I know exactly what you're talking about. And the truth of the matter is we can make. Both of us can make good revenue. But you have to focus on the right things, too.
Focus on the right things. Yeah, I'm going to explore that with you today here.
Okay.
So Lori, when you came on with Worldpay, was FIS still on Worldpay at that point, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And so
that was 4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was okay. But really, when you started, they were already in the background thinking about how they were going to unwind that.
Yes, definitely. They definitely were. And it was to your detriment because we had no product development.
Yeah.
So, when did I start? In October of 20, I think it was. Yeah, because 4 years going on 5 years. And 6 months later, it became real official. We're really not going to develop the ISO program. But what's the worst thing you can tell a partner?
We're
not going to develop the program. So if you want something, you can't get it.
Lori, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Are we breaking up?
Yeah, 100% of the time. No, it's you.
It's you. Yeah. I can't imagine the worst thing that you could do to tell a partner that. And so I spent 2.5 years, really just tap dancing around it all and trying to just keep the lid on, retain the partners that we had. And honestly, we have very loyal partners, including yourselves. Sometimes I think
27-year relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I would think, I don't know why you're giving me business, but thank you. Let's do the best that we can, right? And we released Fee Assist, right, late in 24. That was the first product we'd released to the ISO channel in so many years, and it was just embarrassing. It was hard. It was hard to manage partners, but we, like I said, very loyal partners and very understanding partners. And then, of course, then we divested from FIS. Now we're owned by GTCR. We brought in all new management, total new focus, and an understanding that, yes, you can make money in the ISO business. You just have to do it the right way, right? You need to make money, I need to make money.
Right.
So it can be done, and we're there now. We're definitely doing very well, and so is Global. So it'll be awesome to see how that merger takes place and the benefits for you. Well,
so far you guys are executing this much better. Like for example, when FIS bought Worldpay, I mean, in the get-go, we were popping the champagne corks. I mean, it was awesome, the level of attention we got, and all these things were going to be availed to us. But at the end of the day, and I don't know what went wrong there, but they just didn't execute on any level whatsoever.
They didn't execute. They weren't focused on the ISO. I mean, FIS is banking relationships.
Yes.
They're not ISO relationships. And so that mentality of, I can't make money here, just filtered down to the decision to not invest.
Well, for us, of course, we wanted to leverage all their banking relationships, and it was an absolute no-brainer, and we just could not get any traction.
Oh, that was one of the first things I did when I worked with you, is try to get that bank referral program up and running, and it was very difficult. They weren't interested in it. But, so they have their niche, and they're doing very well. They're very successful. We've divested, and now we're merging with Global, so it's all turned out for the best.
It was
difficult getting there.
It was a shame too, because we were exposed to a number of FIS people, and I mean they're top-notch people. Very very knowledgeable. They care about their customers. They care about what they're doing. They care about the company. But there was just some linkage that was broken there somewhere.
But it's where it is now, and I think it's for the best.
Yeah.
Right. I think the opportunity here is tremendous.
Yes.
For the ISO channel. This is going to be a fun year. And hang on to your hat. It's going to be a fun year. We're just 2 weeks into it, into the new year, so it's going to be fun.
So it just occurred to me when you said this earlier, you are now in your 4th decade of merchant services.
Wow, thank you for saying that.
And you look so good. You're not beat up, I don't, You have hair, though.
I do have hair.
All your limbs,
Thankfully.
well, your limbs are mostly intact.
Mostly intact. Some new parts, but mostly intact. But you're right. It's been, 37 years?
Mm.
Since I started.
Staggering.
It's crazy, right? Well,
Yeah.
actually, maybe it's only 35. I started in 1990. So I guess we can do the math. I guess it's 35 years. But yep. But the bulk of that was with First Data, or Fiserv, 27 years. Then I retired.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
then I started working with Paya for 2.5 years or so. Then I retired again. And then Gretchen Bender, who I'd known in the industry, had called and asked if I'd come work for Worldpay and manage the strategic partner manager team. And so then I came back. I'm
Did I
really
know
bad at
that?
retiring.
Did I know Gretchen recruited you?
I don't know. I don't know if you.
She's a friend of Al and mine.
Oh, is she? She's fantastic.
Wonderful.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her. I missed her. I mean, I worked with her and she was fantastic to work with. But
Yeah.
yeah. So she, recruited me and said, yeah, okay, all right, I'll come back. So, I know.
So Lori, I want to talk about this because you're one of the few people that has a really strong operations background. And you shifted successfully to front of the office where you're out there, you're meeting the people, and you're meeting principals, and you're making deals. So that's a big change for someone who's running. You had 200 people in your call center?
200 people, yeah. Well, so the background is, of course, when I started with First Data, it was an entry level, customer service position, but worked my way up through the organization. The more I learned the industry and I learned our partners, then before you know it, I'm managing an implementation team. So implementation team, new ISO sign up and got to get them up and running. So I managed that team. I left that and went into agent and bank sales for a little bit. Didn't really like it, honestly. It was just, banks, trying to sell into a bank, that. I mean, nothing moves fast, right? So it didn't move fast enough. So they came back over to the ISO channel, managed a sales team, organic sales, not new sales, organic sales. And when I left First Data, I was managing the operations division. So it's the experience that gets you to where you are. And I do have operations background, but what I really love is this. It's the relationships, right? It's understanding the partner, what they need, building strong relationships and friendships. That's a side gig that is really nice. But
well, so that's who I have the benefit of knowing you personally, right? And that's who you are, but that's not what you did for 27 years, right?
No,
and like
no.
your personal and professional life, sometimes those don't always overlap. So
right.
I mean, when you were there and like implementation, that's hard.
That was a hard
really
gig,
hard work.
Yeah,
I mean, did you ever think, hey, I really need to be the one out in the street pressing flesh?
It's funny. I think I had the talent to do that. I didn't have the desire to do it. And it's hard to. You have to have a certain personality to accept rejection, right? And keep going and keep going.
Is that a good thing if you have that trait?
I think it is a good thing.
Okay.
I think I have the trait. I just didn't want to do it. It was just I was perfectly happy doing what I was doing, managing current partners.
Gotcha.
Looking for organic growth opportunities. I wasn't into prospecting new ISOs. That wasn't anything, and was certainly not interested in knocking on doors for merchant accounts. It just didn't fit for me, although I know I could have done it.
So part of this too, in your world you were in, you weren't dealing with a lot of these people, like the business development, et cetera.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. We crossed over, but they had their lane and I had my lane. When we crossed over is when they signed a new ISO and had come over to the, I used to call it the forever home, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because those sales guys, I'm sure you know that, they sign the deal and they move on.
Yeah.
They make promises that we can't keep.
Yeah.
That kind of
and it's up to you to implement it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was
That's
the
what we
challenge.
do.
Yeah, I know that's what you guys do. But that was the challenge of it, and I actually found it fun to find the right solutions. I will admit I would have called a sales guy once or twice and said, "What the heck? Don't promise this. We can't do that." But yeah, that's how I got there.
Lori, you'll appreciate this. You know what? You may not appreciate this, but I have a telecom background, and there was our implementation manager, Ken Crowley. He's an absolute great guy. He was my partner, and we'd have these regular meetings, and we're in a meeting one day, and I was talking. Well, I could tell he was just visibly irritated, right?
Oh no.
And I said, "Kenny, you okay?" He goes, "No, not really." He goes, "Johnny, I sit in these meetings every week, and you talk about all these things we're doing is easy," and he goes and and it's easy because I'm the one that's doing the work here. It's not you. And I said, Kenny, that's the very definition of easy.
Easy, very, yeah, you're going to do this, not me. Yeah, that's fun. I love that. That's a great story.
I had forgotten this. Of course, that got great traction internally. And I was dead serious when I said it, right? And I had forgotten that, and I hadn't seen Kenny in years, and we played golf, and he brought that up. He goes, you know, I'll go to my grave, I'm going to be on my deathbed, and I'm going to think about you saying that to me.
Well, that's an honor.
It is. It is. Well, I couldn't lie to him.
Well, no, for sure. I mean, sales is hard. Sales is hard. And yeah, you've got to be flexible and understand what the partner wants, the merchant or the partner. You got to dig into it and figure it out.
So when you migrated to Paya, I don't think I knew much about that portion of your career.
It was a short portion. It was a couple years. It used to be Sage, and another one of these situations where I joined Sage and within months rebranded as Paya and separated and all that kind of stuff. So Joe Kaplan was our CEO. I don't know if you know Joe.
I don't.
He actually owned an ISO in California that was sold to GoDaddy, I think it was. Anyway, he passed away. He was on vacation and passed away. And when that happened, everything just went crazy. You know, it just, the whole business just took a turn that, So
Lori out.
Yeah. I hate to say that, you know, I did that, but I did. I said, this isn't going where I wanted to go. Maybe I really should retire now. And so that's how I left Paya, and that's how I got onto Worldpay. But yeah.
And then Gretchen's the one that gave you the call.
Gretchen, yeah.
So tell me what that conversation looks like. You know, here you've got almost 30 years operational experience this time, and she says, "Hey, we want you forward facing, Lori."
Yeah.
Tell me how she won that dialogue.
Oh, it wasn't hard at all.
Really?
I was like, oh, I love this. Okay, sure, I'm on board. So she had a group of people, SPMs, strategic partner managers that weren't being managed right, and she needed someone to come in and reorganize the whole thing and get back on track of growing organic growth of the partner base. That's right up my alley. I loved it. So it wasn't a hard sell at all.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course it's remote.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was I was remote with Paya. It was not remote with Fiserv.
Yeah.
But I was remote with Paya and then remote with Worldpay. So it was a win-win. I loved it. And she's terrific. How could you say no to her anyway? She's
that's true.
And she has such great experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it wasn't, it wasn't a tough conversation at all. Except when it came to salary negotiation. Then.
She was tough then?
No, I was tough.
Oh.
But no.
So you had the old trump card, right? Hey, you called me.
You called me. I'm happy to come and help.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was fine. It was good. And I haven't regretted it at all. Maybe just a tiny bit after, we're not going to develop ISO. I regretted it a little bit there, but I hung in there because it's a matter of, in my case, it's a matter of loyalty and honor to stick with it, to see where it ended up. I had clients calling me asking, are you going to be the one to turn the lights off there? I mean, aren't you looking for something else? I was like, I don't know, whatever it is, but I need to stick with this and see this through. And happy I did. Well,
you were, by that statement, you and I come from the same kind of stock, right? That's Midwestern values. Yep. Your parents said when your boss tells you to do something, you do it. You show up, or those things all serve you extremely well.
Yes, and you too. I mean, it's a work ethic.
Yeah. Doing the right thing.
Doing the right thing, even when no one's looking, I think is the phrase. But you do the right thing all the time. You do the right thing. You show up. Working from home is fantastic for me. Some people can't do it. And some people don't have the institution to do that. No,
they kid themselves.
Yeah.
And they think they are, or they're trying to kid their boss or whatever.
Right.
But it's just not. I get because I've worked at home too, and I'm pretty disciplined. Mm-hmm. And I thought that and there are some things that when you don't want to be, you can't be interrupted. You will be more productive. But you and I, we're taking phone calls, we're answering emails, we're interacting.
Working all day long. Yeah.
Right.
All day long. I mean, there are times probably to you too sometimes where you're like, why is my stomach growling? Well, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. You haven't eaten anything all day. Oh, okay, I'm run up and get a sandwich and come back down. But yeah, it's a discipline. It's a constitution. It's the loyalty and the commitment. It's all those things. You can't teach someone that. You can always teach someone the business, but you can't teach someone those kind of core ethics. You either have it or you don't.
You can't. The other part of this too is that I'm disciplined, but I also know I'm biased towards myself. I'm always going to give myself the benefit of the doubt.
Sure.
But when after COVID, this work at home sham proliferated, right? So my son was in his second year of law school, and he went to work for Cincinnati Insurance. Well, they had it mandated that he would work 2 days from home. This is why he was in law school, right? And my son, I mean, he is the Terminator on discipline, right? I mean, he is like way even more disciplined than me. I mean, like for example, he'll have his phone turned off and upside down. No distractions whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
And so I was talking to him about this work from home. He goes, Dad, he goes, even fighting the traffic, he's in Cincinnati, right?
Okay.
He says, I would really rather work in the office, which no one says that, right? And I go, why? I said, well, why is that? He says, well, the truth of the matter is, he goes, you get distracted when you're at home. He goes, it's like, I'll think that, hey, I got a load of laundry, I need to put it in the dryer, or just take a couple minutes. He goes, but you do that over a few times a day, all that adds up. And that really hit me, Lori, because again, I mean, he is incredibly disciplined, but he even recognized that he's not as productive at home.
That's to his credit that he recognizes that. I mean, the only distraction I get when I work at home is my cat jumping on my desk and standing on the keyboard and getting involved with my WebExes, which is kind of fun actually, but that's the only distraction. But we don't have children at home either. It's just Bill and me, so Bill goes to work and I go to work, and
the cat help your zen and your feng shui and all that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good. I love working from home, but.
So let's talk about your ISO channel. Since you're in the Wild West, the ISOs now, what do you see common misunderstandings and friction between you, the processor, and the ISOs on how ISOs think things should be versus what reality is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I could go a number of different ways with that, but I'm going to boil it down to the simplest thing. The biggest friction is price. Always price, always price, always price. Not value of what I have to provide you, or the expectation that I should give you something for free.
Yeah.
We're not a not-for-profit organization. I need to make money just like you do.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest friction. Someone I worked for years ago, if you can take price out of the equation, right? What
would you do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So price becomes a non-issue when you're offering value, but ISOs continue to want to go back. I'm at 100% residual and I want you to cut my off price. Can't do that.
To what?
To nothing. I can't do this for free. That kind of thing is the biggest friction. But I also think that ISOs tend to forget to look at the basics. Look at your attrition. Why are you losing merchants? Why are they leaving? Look at your activation rate. So you put a lot of money into a salesperson signing a merchant and then they never activate. Why is that? Those two things you should focus on. It's like core principles, right? It's the foundation of your business. I also feel sometimes ISOs try to be everything to all people, and you just can't be. You need focus, you need vision, and maybe one or two verticals that you're really good at, and the rest will come. But if you try to be everything to all people, you're going to be half-assed, if you will, with each of those, and you won't succeed. You won't become the pillar of the industry, as known as the expert at whatever, healthcare or nail salons or whatever it is. You need to have some focus there.
So you brought something up, failure to activate, right? So I have my perspective on this from processor side. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say.
Okay. You want to share yours?
Why do all these ISOs spend all this money? They recruit people, they get the contract signed, they run it through the operations, Worldpay jumps through all its hoops, and they never get the merchant set up. Why in the world is this happening?
It's an interesting question. I think you could go a couple different ways with that. It's because you don't have the eye on the ball, first off. Whoever the salesperson was should be recontacting that merchant and understanding why they're not activating. We've gone through underwriting, we've sent your terminal, we've got you all set, all you need to do is start, why aren't you doing that? So there's some hidden reason there that either the salesperson sold that merchant something they really didn't need, or they didn't understand, or they just signed out of, fear that this person's feelings are going to get hurt, or what. So there's something there going on at the merchant level.
Yeah.
I also think that if it's not the salesperson following up, then it needs to be somebody in the operations world that follows up with that merchant. Ask the same questions. Why? I mean, you put all the time and effort into filling out this application. We spent time talking about what you need. I've got you set up with what I thought you needed. Why aren't you? Just ask the question to gather that data. But you can't, you have to keep your eye on that ball too. You got to figure out what's going on there. It's same with attrition. I've seen some partners that have 20%, 30% attrition. It's the same question. You invested in this merchant and then they're gone. Why are they gone? What happened?
Let's break this up into 2 buckets. Okay, so let's talk about your really great ISOs. Like, do you guys measure this, like the failure to install?
Yeah.
Okay.
We measure.
So what are your really great ISOs that are installing the majority of the deals that they actually get approved? What are they doing differently?
They're selling the merchant what the merchant needs, and they're following up. So the problem, if you're trying to sell them, it's simple, right? It's back to the basics.
Yeah.
If you sold a merchant something they don't need, it's too expensive, it's too complicated, it doesn't meet their pain points, they'll sign an MPA. He's got no skin in the game. So the successful ISOs do everything we just talked about. Ensure that they're selling the merchant the right thing, follow up with the merchant, revisit, you've got the terminal, do I need to show you how to use it again? What do I need to do to get you going? It's the attention on it. You have to pay attention to it. It sounds simple, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything more than that.
Yeah, it's blocking and tackling, but that's that's the problem. That's the problem with every football team, right? Is getting people to block.
Exactly. Or tackle.
Yeah, or tackle
Watching
correctly.
some football games this last weekend. It's like, you gotta tackle the guy. Don't just hit him. You gotta grab his feet or something. But I boil it down. It's just simple. Really is. If you're a merchant and you've signed and you haven't activated, why? You don't have time? Maybe. It doesn't solve your need? It's too complicated? It's too simple? It doesn't do this? It's all those kinds of things. If you think of yourself as a consumer, which is what a merchant is really to us as a consumer, why did you buy something and you never used it? Why? Because you probably didn't need it, right? It's simple, I think, in my mind.
So I want to change subjects slightly here on you. Alan and I have talked about this a lot over the years, and obviously merchant services, it's like other industries. You got every personality type under the sun.
Sure.
And one of the things I try to do is I look for patterns, like of like patterns of people, whether it's unsuccessful or successful. What are these things I see? Like when you meet people, I start lining those things up. And one of the things that we've noticed, again, now this is every type of personality in the world, but what I have seen, and Alan shares the same opinion over and over and over, is that, and it doesn't matter if you're sales, support, implementation, accounting, or whatever, people that are successful in this business, they possess a high level of energy.
Absolutely.
And you're one of those people.
Well, thank you. So are you. But absolutely. You can't sit back and just let the day waste away. You've got to have goals. You have to reach those daily goals, not just monthly or yearly.
Yes.
What am I going to do today? How am I going to move the needle? How am I going to sell something? When you wake up in the morning, you've got to feel like, okay, let's go. Let's do this.
So I'm going to agree with you here, but I'm also put an asterisk on that, right? You've had so many years in merchant. I've been in other industries. And in energy, obviously, that's helpful in any profession you're in. That being said, when I was in telecom, I had some medium and low energy people that were still very, very successful in that. Yet I've never seen a low or medium energy person in merchant services be successful. And I just really wonder why that is. Because once again, it's the telecom is really a parallel industry from merchant services, right? You've got network, you've got hardware, you've got software, you got merchants or clients. It lines up, but yet you've got to have that high level of energy in merchant. And I just wonder why that is so very crucial.
It's very competitive to begin with, and if you're selling, you have to have that energy when you're approaching a prospect.
I think it's true of operations people too. You look at our folks we've got, and our successful ones are people that possess a high level of energy.
Right. They're answering the phone, they're calling back, they're excited, they share that. Although I will say that there's also room in this industry for those people who never get there. You always need to have a widget. I mean, you always need to have a widget pusher, no matter what you're doing, right?
Widget pusher. I'm going to write that down.
Okay.
That's a new one.
But you do. You always need to have some part of your business. Been doing it for 30 years, doesn't have any desire to do anything else, really good at what they're doing, but no desire to do anything else.
Yeah.
You always have to have those kind of people. And that energy that you're talking about comes from people who have high expectations of themselves and are not comfortable just pushing a widget.
Yeah.
They're really looking forward to increasing their knowledge, increasing their experience, their career pathing, all that kind of thing. And that's where that energy comes from.
You know, Lori, you've got, I made a note here, is one of the things I was thinking about preparing for this. You know, you've got great clarity about your job, right?
Yeah.
And part of that reason you have that is your past. You know, you've got really a rich, and you know that's really where your expertise is,
Right.
is on the operations and service side. Yet,
Absolutely.
you know, if I didn't know you and you said, yeah, I've been in business development and ISO support, I my whole career, I wouldn't question that.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really been a big
That's
advantage
nice.
for you. And I can tell you that you're an outlier in that. People pivoting from operations to sales, that's a
Different.
high failure rate.
Well, thank you for the compliments first off, but yeah. But
It's by the way, it's not a compliment. That's the way I see it.
it's not a compliment.
It's not. I've always my wife will tell you this. This is a weird wrinkle in me. Compliments me kind of feel like you're being obsequious and it's not really sincere. I mean, because you know, it's like I tell my wife. I mean, when I say, "Hey, you look really pretty today," she knows that I really feel that way,
Yeah,
right?
because you don't give those compliments up.
Yeah.
I understand. You're stating the facts as you see.
Yes.
And I appreciate that very much. To me, it's a compliment, and it's recognition of what I've achieved in my career. So.
I'll go with that.
Okay.
I'll agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but that's really helpful. You know, that you have that foundation, and that is actually, you know, that's foundational to your belief and how you approach your job. That shows through.
Let me share one more thing.
Yeah.
One of the biggest successes and rewards I have in my career is I've mentored a number of people through my career, and to watch them grow and become super successful. There's one particular individual who was kind of a screw up, and he'll admit it because we're friends. He lives in Omaha. We're friends, but you know, we laugh all the time. Because I fired you multiple times, but you kept coming back. You know, and so he now is a top sales guy in the industry. You know, very successful, very happy, and he will, you know, give me some credit for that, which I appreciate very much. But that's just one example. I love mentoring people and helping them grow their career and giving them, you know, different perspectives. If they ask my opinion, I think that's the highest compliment anyone could ever have, that you can share. Someone wants to know what I think about it. So.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree with that. You know, that doesn't show up on your paycheck, but like, you know, your human being card, that's a big tick mark to have on there.
I'm going to use that phrase now. Human being card. I love that.
I came up with that on the spot, right?
Well, it's good.
But no, I think that's really valuable. You know, that's something that's you know, that's once again, that doesn't show up on your taxes at the end of the year.
No.
But you know, as far as of being that servant, the servant mentality, and helping out other people, and
it means the world.
Oh, it does
really
mean the world.
It's so rewarding. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, then it feels good. Yeah. I interrupted your train of thought, but
No. You didn't actually. So let's pivot. So Lori, are you fielding personal questions today?
I am. Fire away, John. Anything's, well, not anything, but most anything is open game. So.
Well, you that document you signed earlier, that was a waiver saying that.
Did I sign a document?
You did.
I did? I don't remember
You did.
that.
Yeah. I'll show it to you here in a little bit.
Okay. Fire away.
So Lori, tell me how old you were when you realized you did not have normal parents who had normal jobs and you were living in a normal household. How old were you when you first realized that?
I was probably in grade school or middle school because we moved every 2 or 3 years.
Okay,
My
so
dad was
you're a
in
military brat.
I'm an Air Force brat.
But now that being said, I want to qualify that further. You knew lots of military brats.
Yes.
So that part was kind of normal.
That part was normal. But picking up and moving every 2 or 3 years, that was abnormal.
Okay.
And that was difficult. I'd say probably middle school, not grade school, is when I noticed things were a little bit different. But I also contribute that to the fact that I'm an extrovert. You know, you move every 2 or 3 years and you're a kid, you're not going to have any friends if you don't put yourself out there. and introduce yourself and get to know people and build another new network. And then 3 years later, you're doing the same thing, right? So an Air Force brat taught me a lot of things, but the first and foremost was to understand that, make the best of where you are and what you're doing, make friends, create a new life, if you will, for 3 years, and then be prepared to move again. Now, I graduated from high school, actually, in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And we had a, yeah, I know, isn't that crazy?
That's a rough commute for the class reunion.
Very rough. It was really, my high school class, I think we had 12 people. I mean, it was a diplomatic school, so they came from all kinds of countries that went, but very small.
Oh, it wasn't even an American school then?
No. It was,
wow.
It was international. International School of Kuala Lumpur is what it was called.
How many years did you go there?
3 years.
Wow.
3 years, yeah.
So you had an abnormal high school experience,
total abnormal high school experience,
yeah.
too. Yeah. So, but I think all of that, the experience makes me who I am today.
Yeah.
And I think it's all positive. There were some rough times. I mean, for sure. But yeah, it made me who I am today. So I thank my dad for the experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So talking about your dad.
Dad.
So even in a military environment, those aren't merchant services jobs or going to work at the power plant kind of jobs. Yeah. How old were you when you're like, hey, this is like really unusual and incredibly dangerous work that my father engages in?
Yeah. When did I realize that?
Yeah.
When he was flying the SR-71, again, I was a kid, but we were in California, and we were able to go meet him on the runway, one of his very first flights, and he was in this big spacesuit thing, and a helmet and everything, and hoses and stuff.
And you'd never seen it?
I'd never seen it before. It was the first. I remember it like it was yesterday. And we walked up to him, and I thought, and of course, I'm short. My dad's tall. Like, oh my God, you were like my hero. Look at you. What are you doing? How amazing.
And how old were you?
I was probably 12.
Oh
maybe.
My gosh.
Yeah.
So you were old enough to process all
Totally
this.
old enough to process, yeah. I'd say between 10 and 12.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, totally old enough to process it. But that was when I thought, wow, this is, not everybody's daddy does this, So I think that's the first time I recognized the impact of what my father did.
Well, so let's talk about this. Like, all my listeners may not be familiar with what the SR-71 Blackbird was.
Okay.
How many of those were out there, and what these pilots like your dad actually
did. I don't know how many are out there. That's the first thing. But it's the Mach 3. It's the plane that flies nearly in space, but not quite.
It's like 60, 70,000 feet it can fly out?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, 70,000 I think is what it is. My dad was a training pilot, so he learned how to fly it, and he trained others how to fly it. They flew Vietnam. I mean, my dad doesn't tell us a lot of stuff about what he did, but I know
he's still tight-lipped on that.
Oh, yeah. We tried to get him to say something. He's 94. We tried to get him to say something. He won't say anything. But we do know that he flew reconnaissance missions in Vietnam, right? We know that kind of thing. He was gone a lot during the war, as you can imagine. It's just cool. I mean, he's just a badass to do what he does. Or do what he did.
This was, people don't realize it, is that those guys were like, even when the plane was in, was through its beta and all that, in a lot of ways they were considered test pilots. I mean, they had, as you know, they had accidents.
Well, my dad, he did tell us one time a story where he lost a co-pilot from an accident. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that, he didn't.
So he got ejected from the plane on that?
Yeah, didn't make it.
Because there weren't, I mean, it was like less than a half dozen of these that crashed, and he was one of them.
He was one of them.
Oh my goodness.
I just think of Top Gun, the movie Top Gun.
Yeah.
I draw some comparisons with Top Gun and what my dad did, but yeah, it's just amazing. He's such a humble person. He doesn't take a lot of accolades about it. But a fun fact, in Omaha we have a space museum, about 30 miles outside of Omaha, and the SR-71 that he flew has this tail number, is on display the minute you walk into the museum. That's the plane my dad flew. My dad actually flew that plane. And my brothers and I have a memorial bench there for him. It's marble memorial bench right in front of that. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty cool.
Do you know what years he was actively flying the SR-71?
67 through 69, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to look it up to be sure, John, but it was in the late 60s.
So had he had enough of it after 2 or 3 years, however long that period was?
You can only fly for so long. Then you're required to get another position.
Gotcha.
Something different.
So when you once you get accepted into the program, the clock's ticking on you.
You only get, I think it's 3 years, maybe
Okay.
4 years, but yeah. So it wasn't his choice. It was almost like a police officer. You can only, for 30 years, you have to retire, forced retirement. So it was forced retirement out of the SR program.
So you know, that at the time, the especially in the 60s, you know, it was highly secretive, as you know.
Very secretive.
This plane, but were you aware of the danger, like literally every time your dad's taken off? I mean, this could be like the last time.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I don't think I was. You know, my mom obviously was, but I don't think as a kid I understood that, other than I thought, this is cool, look at what he's doing, you know, and just be so proud of what he's accomplishing.
Yeah.
But the danger aspect, I don't really think I understood that.
You know, your mom and dad were smart keeping that from you, really.
Yeah, I think so.
Because like you're a little kid, you can't really
I mean,
process
you're 10, 12
that.
years old, and that's too much to, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I really encourage the listeners to check this out. You may not find this dialogue interesting, but even if you just wiki the SR-71 and you hear some of these stories, I mean, it is just insane.
Crazy.
What these guys did. I mean, because this was 50s technology, and help me out, was it Lockheed Martin built it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this was technology beyond what anyone
Beyond
could
comparison,
possibly
yeah.
imagine.
No
you
one
know,
could imagine it.
We had this 3,000 or 3 times. I think it was 3.3 time, 3.3 time, or 3.3 Mach.
I just knew it as Mach 3. I don't know if it was 3.3, but Mach.
Three times the speed of sound, and and
the boom.
Oh yeah.
The boom you'd hear.
The boom.
Yeah.
So these guys would fly a reconnaissance mission over the Soviet Union when the Cold War's getting on, and the pilots had this great evasive maneuver, because the Russians would get aggravated once in a while and fly a missile, and their evasive move was quote unquote step on the gas.
Yeah.
Your missile
and
can't
that's okay,
catch
because
me.
you're going to miss it. Yeah. It's like when you're shooting sporting clays. If you don't lead it, you're not going to get it. Same thing, but they never catch up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, it's just interesting, and you've given me a lot of things to think about that I hadn't realized as a child how dangerous that was.
Mm.
Yeah. Cool. He's a hard ass.
Yeah.
He's just, badass.
Yeah, you know, I think first of all, you know, what your dad did, the colonel, what the colonel did, you know, is that, you know, he obviously knew all of these risks, right?
For sure.
So,
For sure.
you know, he had a certain psychological profile before he got in the program, and then that's even tempered even more by his experience, and then you know, even one of them crashing, and I'm sure he had friends that crashed. You know, there were a few of those pilots that, well, the one you mentioned, you know, he died, and there were a number of people died in that program. So that's that's
something. His second seater, I think is what they call him, second seater, they flew together all the time, and he just died last year. But they had a really tight relationship, and you know, he lived in Washington, and Dad and he would get together all the time, you know, meet a couple times a year, because you have that kind of experience, and to your point, that kind of risk and and obligation and all of that, you know, you build a pretty tight relationship. So we were super close.
To your point, you know, that the colonel, his was that the Navigator that was the second seat?
Yes, yeah.
So you're not going to have a relationship like that anywhere else in the rest of your life.
Exactly.
You know, there's just implicit trust that you've got another person, and I mean, you absolutely positively cannot let them down.
No, absolutely.
Even in the most small way.
Yeah,
right?
you have an obligation.
Yes.
You know, not only to the country and to the plane, but to your backseater.
Yes.
Because if you screw up, you know, you got someone else's life in line too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. So Dad is 94 now. He's very short answered is the best way I can say. If you ask him, how you doing? Fine. Okay, so should we get together next week? No, I'm busy. Okay, well, find a date. You know, it's part of him being 94, but I think it's part of his training and his, his what he's all about that made him the right guy for the job. Do you know what I mean?
Not a lot of time for chit chat.
Not a lot of fluff. No. He's funny. I laugh at him all the time. Or you send him a text and he'll respond with a one-word answer. But then he does a whole bunch of little emojis too. It's so funny.
Now, what was your dad's rank when he was flying? Oh, he was a colonel.
No, lieutenant colonel when he was flying.
Lieutenant colonel.
He retired as a full colonel.
Gotcha. So how many years was he in after he flew the SR-71?
Yeah, I don't know for sure. Many years, though. I would have to say probably 25 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time. He worked for, when he retired from the service, and then he worked for, I don't think it was Lockheed Martin, GE. He worked for GE Aerospace for a number of years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he finally completely retired. But
wow, I bet that was a great job.
Oh, he was flying all over the world. Yeah, he would take Mom with him when he had to go to Paris or Italy or whatever they were doing. So, yeah.
So your brothers and you, okay, were you children or were you junior grade officers?
We were children, but we also learned an awful lot from my dad about respect, loyalty, honesty, commitment. Failure was not an option in our house, so I was not the best student in school, I'll admit, but when those report cards came out, I was like, oh my God, I hope there's not a C in there because I'm going to be in big trouble, kind of thing. So Dad expected a lot of himself, but also of us kids.
Okay.
Then that's what you would expect, I would assume, from someone of that.
I was like asking that question when they're military brats, right? Because you get just a wide variety. I had a good friend of mine in high school. So his dad was Air Force, and he was he joined out of college, and they paid for him to go to dentistry school, right?
Oh, nice, yeah.
And so he stayed in. I think he was 20 plus years. He stayed in reserve, and
nice.
Dr. Jim, he was a great guy, but he was definitely squared away military. If you just met him and you said, hey, here's 50 professions, you would probably marked military first, and it was odd because he was a small town. Of course, anyone in the medical field, highly respected in a small town, high status. But he really self-identified more as a military man than he did as a dentist.
Did he have like a crew cut?
He did.
Did he?
He did, yeah. Now, and this was good news and bad news, but not so much his daughter, but his son. He was more like a junior officer that was not squared away.
Oh, okay.
So
that's funny. My older brother was in the ROTC, so he was kind of a junior officer, and he became a police officer. But there was a period of time where I thought I wanted to be a pilot, and my dad was so, oh, honey, you're too short. Dang, how can I grow 6 inches? So, too fun. Love him to pieces.
So your gender in the workplace has obviously, that's changed dramatically, since you and I entered the workforce, right? So, and then your dad being a military, compared to what the military is now when he was in, it's 200.
Completely different. Oh, gosh.
So were you treated differently than your brothers as far as like what opportunity was in front of you or what your academic expectations were or anything like that?
I think from an academic expectation I was, because remember, my mom and dad married in the 50s, and what did women do?
You aspire to be a homemaker,
exactly.
Take care of your husband.
Have a bunch of babies and take care of your husband, that kind of thing. So from that perspective, my parents didn't really expect me to do much. They didn't expect me to go to college. Didn't expect me to do anything. But I had other plans. I actually am a dental assistant. I have a certificate dentist. I know, isn't that bizarre? And I met my husband in dental school. He was in dental school and I was training and all that kind of thing.
All worked out.
It all worked out. We got married and I worked for him for about 6 months before I figured out we were going to starve to death if I didn't get a real job. A new dentist starting a practice. So I left that and I went to work for a mortgage company, a secondary mortgage company. So that was in the 80s, mid-80s, when interest rates were, 24%. That was real.
Brutal.
And then that company was sold, and I ended up walking across the street to First Data. And, that's how I got into this field. But my parents never expected me to do all that. But like I said, I had other plans. I'm not a housewife. Well, we had 2 children and all that kind of thing. But I had bigger plans for myself.
So that was you doing all this was really foreign to their mindset.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was more foreign to Mom than Dad. I mean, I think Dad recognized I had that drive to do something. Okay, so sidebar. My dad used to call me the HMFIC.
HMFIC?
HMFIC. It's a military term, HMFIC. So
I think I know what that means.
All you have to do is Google it.
Okay.
It'll tell you. So Dad always called me the HMFIC, meaning that nothing's going to stop
head
doing
something person in charge.
Exactly.
Got that.
You want to do?
That's a military term.
It is a military term.
Love it.
Yeah. So Dad always knew that if I had my head set on it, I'm doing it. Come hell or high water.
You're going to be the HMFIC.
Yeah. Well, I had HMFIC as my license plate for 25 years. 25 years. And I drive in Bellevue. That's where SAC, the SAC Air Force Base is. And
that's the Strategic Air Command.
Correct. And that's my dad lives there. So I drive into Bellevue and be at a stop sign or a stoplight, and the guy next to me is around the window. Does that mean what I think it means? Yes, sir. Because it's all military there, right? So for easily 25 years, I had that license plate. And then a couple years ago, I got a letter from the county, the state, that said I had to.
You're done.
Because if you look it up, that's what it says. So now my license plate is censored, and I have a bumper sticker HMFIC under that. So, but yeah, so my dad called me the HMFIC. So that I think that tells you
that's high praise.
Volumes about my dad's expectation and his belief that I would do whatever I wanted to do.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So there's a little more insight into me and my background. But.
So Lori, let's pivot back to your job now. So there's ISOs and there's salespeople and there's operators listening to this podcast today. From this conversation, what would you identify to them as the big takeaways?
The big takeaways from
what we've talked about today.
What we talked about. I think focusing on the basics. I think you get lost in all the minutiae of what you're doing. If you take care of your people, you take care of your partners, you look at the KPIs that really drive your business. It's more than just transactional volume. It's more than what your residual payments are. It's about taking care of the merchant, understanding the things we've talked about, why these negative events are taking place in your portfolio, and focusing on 1 or 2 things that you're really, really good at that sets you apart from everybody else. And there's a lot of processors out there, a lot of ISOs, a lot of salespeople. If you're walking in the door and telling the merchant, I can save you 2 cents on it, that's not going to do it. The merchant needs more than that. You need to identify what the merchant really needs, and that'll grow your business. So focus on the basics. It sounds simple. Others, there are far more experts in the industry than me that may have a different idea about that, but focus on the basics, you can't go wrong.
Well, you're going to see a lot of salespeople, and you're going to interact with them a lot this week. If you just gave them, and especially someone newer in the industry, right? You're just going to give them like one piece of advice. That's your handhold when you're climbing the mountain. Just one really important thing to focus on. What would that be?
Educate yourself. Educate yourself in the industry, so that you understand A to Z, nuts to bolts. That's going to get you where you want to go, right? I remember when I had this aha moment, I thought, I get this interchange thing now. That was many, many years ago, but it's a little complicated.
Yeah.
And that was, now it's super, super complicated. But you have to understand the business, and the only way to do that is to educate yourself. Learn as much as you can. Get a mentor. Get a mentor. Get a mentor.
That seems like it's a thing of the past now.
It's sad, and that's too bad. But mentors can help you get where you want to go. Learn as much as you can. Do webinars. Do whatever your educational, the company that provides you education. Take all the courses. Learn everything that you can. Ask a bunch of questions and get a mentor. So that's not just one piece of advice, it's a lot. But I don't think there's one answer, honestly.
So I'm going to have you take us across the finish line here. You said early on at the top of the conversation that 2026 is going to be a really fun year. Tell me what that's going to look like.
I don't know. That's what's going to make it so fun. I don't know what it's going to look like. Last year at the event, and thank you again for allowing us to participate in your summit this year, I remember standing up there saying, I promise you, next year, things will be a lot different. I didn't really.
You did say that.
I did say that, and I meant that from a product delivery perspective. I didn't realize that, obviously I didn't know we were going to be, merging with global. So it's totally different than it was last year. I don't know what's going to happen, and that's the fun part. I do know that Global and Worldpay will continue to pay close attention to our partners, continue to help you be successful. That's what we're all about. So I don't expect there to be major changes on how we support you and your team and your portfolio. I think the changes are just going to be super positive. Like I said earlier on, the products support, they have a fantastic team that manages their ISO channel. So I haven't even met them yet. I'm going to meet a couple of them here, right? So I think you'll end up getting the best of the best when it's all said and done. But I do feel like you'll need to be a little patient because these things don't happen. They don't turn on a dime. Although we've been working really hard to get prepared day one, but these things, it's huge.
I mean, you're turning around a supersized aircraft carrier.
Right.
So it takes a while.
It does. It takes a while. But I do feel very positive that the folks who are making the decisions are absolutely thinking the right way. Foremost is the partner success and satisfaction. So we need to retain our business and grow our business. So they're making the right decisions. I don't know what they are yet, but I feel like they're making the right decisions. Yeah.
Well, Lori, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is we only got to about 20% of what I want to talk to you about. But the good news is there's a lot of stuff I still want to talk to you about. I'd love to have you back on the show.
I'd be happy to do it. Thank you. It'd be quite the honor. Yes. I'm sorry we got sidetracked on some things, but
No. I like the color.
Fun.
I like the color. So once again, my guest today is Lori Carney with Worldpay. You can find her on LinkedIn. Hit her up. Until Friday, I will see you back here on Get Your Mailbag. Get Your Mind Right. Thank you. Words hard.
Yeah.
Mailbag edition. Until then, for Lori Carney, I'm John Johnson. And get your mind right.